So good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for coming to police headquarters. This is really important. Following up on all the things with technology, transparency, this is just another layer that I've been looking to do and bring this back, which we used to have crime mapping. So the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department is just rolling out another information sharing tool that reaffirms our commitment to transparency. The crime mapping will help our communities. It helps them be better engaged, more informed, and not waiting for a community meeting or waiting for a CompStat or a NIBRS sheet to come out, which really gives you the numbers. Here's where you get a visual where it's happening, when it's happening, and then you're able to get up on this on slmpd.org/mapping. When you go up on this, this is one of my favorite tools, and I've done this in prior to police departments. And unfortunately, before I came here, there was a contractual issue that it was taken down with another vendor, and we were able to bring it back to the next vendor. As you can see, Central Square has helped us get to where we need to be. This map will point to the nearest 100th address on the block. I want to be very clear, it's transparent, and this map works. We look at this crime very carefully. Each and every day we're looking at it. Through CompStat, we're looking at it. And then when I go to community meetings, number one question is, Chief, I've been telling community leaders that this will be coming out, and this is going to help you work with your civic associations, work with your community, have the businesses, and then actually work with us, and if you have any other questions, exactly where it happened, and then make sure that you're well informed. But as many of you know, there's two crime reporting methods. You see as the CompStat, I use FBI UCR standards Part 1 crimes. And you see that from the for the CompStat report that we put out each week. And then there's a NIBRS reporting, National Incident Based Reporting System, that goes into so many more crimes, and it goes down into such granular level. But when I use CompStat, that's where I use the crime fighting strategy. But I thought you should know what I'm using. And NIBRS is pretty important to be reporting out at the end of the year. UCR is pulled out of NIBRS, and so is this crime mapping. So what you do is you're going to see felonies, you're going to see misdemeanors, and then you're going to see a key. And the key shows you all the crimes that are behind the icons, and it'll get into exactly what you're looking at, right down from felonies and misdemeanors. And that's why I caution you, if you see an assault, when you look at the CompStat, it's felony assault. You're going to get every assault here. And with this system is also going to go back 180 days. So you can go back 6 months. And then you can geofence areas, and then you can make sure that you could geofence, you could use an address to start with, or you can look at specific crimes and you can filter them out. I'm going to take you through some of those things. But there might be a delay. Not in our reporting, but a delay when it goes up on the mapping, depending on when the report is signed. So it comes out refreshed every 24 hours. But there are other crimes that need further investigation that we qualify on all the reports, because we're trying to be very timely. But at the same time, as there's further investigation, a crime might be downgraded, upgraded, unfounded, and we have to make sure that we clear it. It could be something as serious as a homicide. It isn't a murder right now, but when it goes to the medical examiner's office, they have to do further testing and toxicology to figure out, was this a homicide or a murder? And when we do that, sometimes it will be delayed, but we actually assume a lot of those, or you'll see them on our CompStat reports. It might take a little bit to follow up on here. So I just want to make sure I manage everybody's expectations as a qualifier, and that'll all be on this. Well, we talk about it in our frequently asked questions. So we put those things that, if you see on the bottom, we try to qualify it to make sure we can manage people's expectations. And this is nothing different than other police departments that I've worked in where we have this crime mapping. It's very similar. I modeled it after them because I thought it was very well received by both us and also the community. So if we want to get into this, Mitch, if you just want to just go on, you go. Well, go back, Mitch, I'm sorry. I just took away go back 1 second. But also, as you can see, you have the homicide counts, you have the overall crime comparison. Right now, the homicides as of today are 120 versus 129 versus 158 versus 154. So that has changed as of today. We're working with these to try to make sure we continue to update this. But the overall crime comparison year to date, as you can see, that's pretty accurate right from our CompStat report with the Part 1s. Now, Mitch, can you unveil crime mapping for us? So this is the city, overall city, and once immediately when you go on, it defaults to 3 days worth of crime. So then what you have to do is you can actually manually zoom in like you would do with any mapping, and then it starts to bring you into areas, so you can manipulate it manually, or you could pick out an address that you want to be the center of the address, and then you geofence it out from that address. So Mitch, if we can go right to, first let's go with what. So right now, what are we looking at? So what? These are all the crimes that you're going to see, and I told you there's going to be a more detailed key legend in our reporting that you can actually print out if you need to look at it. Then where, and you can enter an address. Mitch, you want to 1915 Olive. We'll enter where we are today. And if we can go right down to half mile, 500 feet, 1,000, 15, quarter mile, and up to 2 miles. And then you actually saw when you manually did it, you're looking at it from a county and a region view, but it's only talking about our crime in our city. So if you go out a mile from here, just apply it. This is going to be all crimes. This is the last 3 days. So you got a vehicle break-in, you map that, and then you can go into the incident number and see what time it happened. When. So here, you can go to time frame settings. You can go now. You can go back the custom range. Remember, I told you can go back up to 6 months. If you want to custom range it back from 3 days, you can go further out. You can do this. It'd be great. It's very user friendly, and that's what we wanted it to be. So you can get in and get the information that you need as quickly as possible. And then reports. Now, this area that's geofenced, you can see it's not. That is when you do the report for the time limit you're on. You're going to get each one of these reports. So you can either remap them, and then you can see the date and time of the incident. So I want people to see this. We actually have a more sophisticated system where we actually measure time of day, day of week, when things are happening, patterns and trends. You're able to pull this right now as just day of the week, I believe, if we go down, Mitch, right? So you can start to see where the crimes are happening. It probably is something I'm going to take a look at. I know internally I can pull day of the week when I do my ComStat, and then our commanders looking at the crime that's happening in the area, and then when you go to a neighborhood association. But remember, our ComStat reports go right down to neighborhood, the 88 neighborhoods. So we are trying to get down to each area that has their specific and unique issues, and you can do it now with the crime mapping. And right now, we went live on Friday to make sure this information started to come back in for today. So if we didn't start it on Friday, then it wouldn't, the IT wouldn't be able to start getting the reports in. So bear with us. If you see something, we're looking at it very carefully. If there's some type of discrepancy, it's brand new. And then from IT, where they do longitude and latitude, and sometimes it might be a little bit off. We do not put sex crimes, we do not put domestics, and we do not put juvenile crime information in it. And because even when you get down to the 100 block on the mapping, we want to protect victims' rights. We got to be careful about that. We all know how sensitive that is, and we want to make sure that we're not going to victimize the victim again by giving up the area. So some of these things we just can't put them there. You certainly have your means and ways to figure out where some things happen, but I don't want to put that out publicly on this just to protect the victim's rights. But everything else, up until homicide, is going to be up there. Mitch, did I miss anything?
And you can print.
And you can print down over here. So you can print that, you can print the crimes. Mitch, is the capability to go up to the neighbors' information on each one of those crimes in there? Can I just show everyone this? So show them how you're going through it, Mitch.
Yes.
So now.
So this gives you the summary of what you're looking at currently within what you're searching. And then when folks go onto the website, the way that NIBRS tallies crime, we've included the spreadsheet. So if you click what offenses are included,
you go. So these are all the NIBRS codes going down that we're using. So it's going to show, when I was talking about, our CompStat report uses felony crimes. So when you go to an aggravated assault, you're going to see misdemeanor crimes in there. So if you try to aggregate that information, it's going to be a little bit different. Just remember, Part 1 UCR crimes we use for CompStat, which is best practices. This is a NIBRS system, but it gives you more detailed information for the mapping. And I wanted to make sure everybody had that. If you even go into the map, you can actually come out of the map and have a larger geographic area, even to the United States, and bring it back out the other way, Mitch. That you'll start to see other cities that are using this. So if that's something you want to take a look at, pull it out, just remove the filter, there you go. And then as you're going to start seeing other cities. So these are the cities that are using crime mapping. So you're going to go in, it's going to be very similar. I just wanted to make sure you're aware that there's a capability. And if you point in on that city, you can go into what's happening on that crime mapping as well. So I wanted to give you that additional feature that there is sharing of information that you can go into any one of their websites and look at the things that they're doing. And as you can see, you're not going to see county. You're only going to see Florissant. That's the municipalities using it, but nobody else is using this in this area. So with that, I think I would like to open it up to questions on crime mapping. We know there's probably other things we want to talk about today, but if there's things that I want to keep to the crime mapping, and we'll be ready for any, and we will promise you that we'll take your questions on other issues that are going on in the city.
For someone that doesn't know technology that well, summarize the advantage for them to be able to search the crimes in their neighborhood and see locations and narrow to specific types of crimes.
I would like to say, an informed St. Louis is as safe as St. Louis. If we're all in this together. If you have to wait for crime, and sometimes there's perception out there, and sometimes perception takes a long time to catch up to reality. So if the numbers are out there, we're being as transparent as possible. We're putting the CompStat reports out. We're putting the NIBRS reports out. We're going right down to neighborhood patrol area. You look at downtown and downtown west. Sometimes I talk about what's going on downtown, but if you see, we're down almost. This doesn't do comparative analysis. It only talks about the crimes that have happened in the last 6 months. But when you look at it, we're down almost 50% in overall crime in downtown. And in downtown west, which covers this area, we're down about 42%. You can look that up now, and you can go into this, not just on this, but if you go into our revamped website that was built in 2009, a lot of great information, but it wasn't user-friendly for people that don't have the greatest capabilities when it comes to technology. And I'm guilty of that as well. I'm great at analyzing numbers and everything, but I can get through this very easily. And some of the things I just told you, I was just in on it Friday night because they wanted to make sure I was okay for it. So when it launched today for this press conference, I can speak to it in minimal time in that system. So I think it's very good for people to know what's going on in their area, and especially the community meetings, because they want to be a good partner, but if they don't know what's going on, then you know what, we're telling what's going on, but we could be on the same page and talk about those things, right down to where my commanders, my platoon commanders, my watch commanders, my officers on the street, they're analyzing this information, but I want to make sure that they're doing this together.
So how does having more information available more easily allow perception to catch up to reality?
Sometimes it doesn't, because when people have the availability to see the crime, they have to be able to put it in context. Crime mapping doesn't put it into context, but CompStat reports do, and NIBRS reports when they do a comparative analysis. Is crime going up or crime going down? So it might not give that, but it certainly shows people that here's the information, we want you to make a decision. Because a lot of times say we don't have it and we can't make an informed decision because we're not seeing everything you're seeing. Well, you're seeing it now with some protections on the victims and anonymizing some of the address, but you're getting it right down to the block level. And I think once people get used to that, put it in comparative analysis and go to the CompStat report. But I want to make sure that you see it, that we're reporting the crimes, and the only way we can get better at reducing crime is to make sure crime is reported, because then we can look at patterns and trends to make sure that when we do our investigations or we do our patrol operations and directed patrols, we're there at the time of day, the day of the week, and our officers are out there in the areas that we're asking them to go to, and the community as well can say, hey, we had so many of these over here. We actually know it, we want the community to know it, and there's more eyes and ears to call 911 when something's happening.
And what's the turnaround time for reporting these crimes? Is it every 24 hours?
It's going to, every 24 hours, this is going to be updated. So the turnaround time is pretty quick. And like I said, there's going to be some delayed reports. We always get them. Something happens, someone takes 2 days to report it, usually on the lesser crimes, not violent crimes. And like I said, if there's further investigation, there might be a little bit of a delay. I've seen that happen, but that's happening everywhere, only because we can't sign off the report. We don't want to put a report up that hasn't been finalized, and then we change it. And you're like, why are you changing the report when it's up there? There's supplementals and everything that we do with investigations.
On that topic, with yesterday being an option up there, if we were to click yesterday, will we see the crimes that happened yesterday, or will it take until, I guess, Tuesday to be able to see the crimes that occurred on Sunday?
Well, that's what I want to make sure. We're supposed to be updating every 24 hours. Our IT has it in there. So I want to make sure, that's what I wanted to do. Right now, you're actually seeing as fresh as I am, other than Friday night when I opened it up. And I went through it right before I started speaking with you in the room. I want to make sure it's done every 24 hours, and whatever has been finalized from the day before, you should be seeing that crime. Unless it's some of the crimes I talked about might take a day or two to get into the system.
And Chief,
So
can you
to
talk about
add
this
to
as
that,
a
just to add to that, so Sean, you see, this is like the discharging of a firearm. That was last night at 11:15 p.m.
Okay.
So, but we know with full confidence that somebody discharged their firearm. So the report has been written, it's been approved. You have that assault first degree or an attempt. That was at 7:45 last night. That report has been written, approved, and it's in our system. There may be a stealing, that maybe this will be a robbery and we need to upgrade that charge. That may not be in here right now, but it would be up there when that report is approved, whenever a supervisor approves it.
And the nice thing, you actually, this department, and sometimes, when I came here, I thought we were giving out a lot of information already, this department, compared to other places that I've worked in. And they really have. And you've been able to go through the CAD reports and everything, but what I like about this is that it's like a one-stop shopping for you to be informed what you're taking a look at. And I want that for you, so it doesn't seem, if you can't get in touch with one of us right away, at least you can start the information and you can be as informed as possible and have your follow-up questions. So I'm trying to make sure that, making sure that we communicate. We don't do a great job in communicating sometimes in policing, and I want to make sure we improve on that. And as you can see, hiring Mitch McCoy was one of those things where I started to do those things, breaking down our website. So all these things, I had to get ready to go to be in the spot that we are in now. And then hiring a colleague of yours onto our side, when I wouldn't say we're not on sides, we're in this together, but Mitch is now with us and his team, and these are the type of things I'm trying to improve communication, how the information gets to you to flow, and I think we get better and better at policing, but we have a lot of work to do on that as well, and I think we're getting there. We are getting there, and these are the type of things. It's not just for the community; it's for yourself.
Just talk about that, it is a game changer for residents. It's showing residents that you're open and you're being transparent. Talk about that.
Well, that's the thing. Everybody thinks we're hiding information, and if we say crime is down, and then they can't have access other than numbers on a CompStat sheet that do comparative analysis, this actually just brings it to an area. I'm a visual person. Whenever I see a crime, I go out and look at that location because I want to get a good idea. I try to get all over the city. But something like this, I like to use, and it was very well received in my last police department, and I know it's going to be very well received here. And I think that builds, there's really, here it is, everything's on the table, let's work together to try to improve this situation. And I think people, they can be trusted with this. Why haven't we had it? Well, the technology really hasn't been there, and how we can anonymize information. We gotta be very careful with it, but certainly everybody should have an informed area. What are the conditions, what type of crime is happening here, and how we can work together and improve it. And I think that's what builds trust.
When you look at the perception and reality question, some of the critics on the data reporting have pointed to the 911 issues that the city has also had, and that plays a factor in what gets reported to police from the public and what doesn't. Do you feel like we're getting closer to a more accurate representation of all of that?
Yeah, that's something that, when it comes to 911, that's the front end of our business. And with the mayor and I, and also public safety, over a year ago, we were down a good percentage of dispatches, almost 30, 40 dispatches. The front end of the business, that was the timeliness to answer one of those calls. We're almost up to budgeted strength now, new training. As you can see, we're going to be building, going to break ground next week on the PSAP, where we're going to be working together with our dispatchers that from fire department, EMS, and now the police department in the same area. They should be centralized for the important information to be sharing. That being said, how much time it took to answer that call. We're almost up to about 80%. 90% is the national standard for best practices of answering a call. We're almost, in 10 seconds, we're up to 80%, which is an improvement from where we were and the numbers that we gave last year. So that in itself gives people a little bit of solace that we're answering the calls. That means our officers can get those calls. And then having a telephone reporting unit. You know, these systems in every city I can be in, they could be a call volume that can tax any police department, no matter how many police officers you have. And you have to be able to have what is going on with a crime that happened in the past. Was there a garage burglary that happened 3 days ago and the offender's not on the scene? I said, we will give the opportunity. Can we call you back and take that report over the phone? And that's what we do. And I think right now, this year, we've taken well over 9,000 reports year to date through the telephone reporting unit to make sure that we're reporting the crime so we don't miss those crimes, because those go into this. They also go into our crime strategies that I do patterns and trends, make sure our officers know. And listen, these commanders, these lieutenant colonels, these majors, captains, and right down the rank to sergeants and police officers in the street, they are doing a wonderful job looking at that information. So we want the crime being reported. And sometimes I've heard the police are not going to respond, they're not going to be here. We have to prioritize calls. So sometimes those lower level ones where it's not violence, sometimes gets put to the bottom of the queue. But how we can make up for that, and this happens at every police department, a telephone reporting unit. And I think that helps make sure we capture the crime, and at least someone's voice was heard, a report was taken. And if they do want a police officer, they can request one. Instead of doing that, we will get a police officer out to that scene. It might not happen right away because of all the other things going on, but we're in a customer service business, and I want to make sure we're doing everything that we can within an organization as efficiently as possible, keeping us safe.
Can you talk about the funding that went into creating this map?
Mitch, I'm going to let you go with this. You know what, I tasked Mitch when he came aboard to start help us get this over the finish line. So I'm going to I'm not sure if he's used to being in front of the camera, but I'm going to allow Mitch to talk about this. But he has been the one that has helped us get over. So Mitch.
Yeah. So we worked with Central Square that the city already has a contract with. We were able to work with City Hall, and we were able to reopen our contract with Central Square, which allowed us to expedite and get this mapping live and going. So.
And mapping, the mapping, I don't have the exact actual cost right now because it was all part of trying to get this website corrected. We can get that for you. But when you look at it, it's very nominal in the overall. It's not a very expensive tool. It was just tough to integrate. It's a struggle or a challenge to integrate into the systems that you have. So I've been waiting to get to this point because we had to redo the website and then helping bring Mitch aboard to help get these things across the finish line.
For context, I think it was several $1,000s. Yeah. It was much cheaper than what it was going to be if we updated our previous technology with the previous crime mapping that they had.
Chief, if you could just talk, I know you mentioned a couple different times that this is another layer that you've been looking to do since you got here. But just talk to us about, we know NYPD, they have this, Chicago. So just talk to us about how it's helped the other cities that you've been in, and just really how you hope this helps St. Louis.
Well, if you see the other cities, you could see I follow the same plan. I'm a student of CompStat. I was actually very fortunate to come up through that system from the 80s, and starting into the 90s, but I started in the 80s in the NYPD. And then I was able to bring a lot of this stuff into Chicago. So we did follow in Chicago. I was second in charge of Chicago Police Department, and then was able to bring this into Wilmington, Delaware. The feedback from the community, how you measure trust, is you start to have the community when we're working together. First, you got to go to community meetings, and we haven't been able to go to them in many years because of the pandemic. And now we can get back together. We have such an opportunity. You build that trust because now they have something to work with you on. And getting back to Chicago and New York, it helped us with clearance rates. Because one way, it's very hard to qualify, are you building trust in the community? But there are measurements. And some of those measurements are clearance rates, especially with homicides and murders. And if you saw here, I think last year we finished 75% homicide clearance rate, where the national average was about 50. So that means we have the best detectives in the world here. And we had great detectives in the other places that I worked. But at the same time, we also need the community's cooperation to help us. The technology helps us, everything helps us, but when the people come and they actually start to trust to speak to us because they want a safer community, that's where I really start to measure it. And the dozens and dozens of community meetings that I'm going to, one of the biggest questions that the Civic Association and the community leaders in each community, they wanted something that they can see as tangible as this, and I've been promising them that. I said, we've done it in other places. I know how well it works. Once you get it, and actually, when I talked about it at my last press conference, one of the community leaders sent me a message to my sergeant to say, thank you, this is exactly what we're looking for. So I can inform my community as a leader what to watch out for, and some of them want to look out for their community. They want to be eyes and ears of what's going on. So it's a great tool. It's a great tool because you are sharing information. It does build trust, and when trust is built, we can do a lot of things in our community together and make a difference. And that's what I've seen in the last couple of places, especially with something like this. It's not a be-all, end-all. It's just one more piece of a comprehensive plan that we can use in the CompStat methodology that I talk about a lot.
How much
Chief,
of a leap forward is this from the previous map?
It's pretty consistent. There's not much more you can really massage this to, because you can only share so much information. Because we have to protect some of the information, investigations, and/or victims. So it's actually it's a new system and a new company that's working. We had to work with here within the systems we had, and I'm glad that we were able to get it done. And the costs, as we said, were very nominal for overall building that trust, trying to give as much information to the community. So it's really somewhat the same. Maybe from 20 years ago, it's cutting edge, but right now it's functional. It's working with the existing system and the systems you have to track crime.
Chief, in terms of rebuilding trust with the community and getting perception to catch up with reality, what other tools are out there that you still want to implement or maybe hope to someday kind of bring on board?
Well, I want to keep the existing equipment that we have. You've seen me. You see me testify before the surveillance, the Public Safety Committee on Surveillance Technology. You're going to see me present on surveillance technology to communities. It's part of the thing in an ordinance bill, in an executive order that the mayor put out, and people should know that. So as long as I continue to educate people while protecting their civil rights on these systems, which there are guardrails and safeguards, these are really good systems, and as any new technology starts to come in that is not violating people's civil rights, and a lot of it we have to get a court order to use them on specific cases, we're making sure that anything's out there. If we can continue, we're always going to have to upgrade our cameras. Keep the camera system. Keep the license plate readers. There are so many success stories, even to a license plate reader, and there was a thing after David Lee's funeral that myself and my sergeant got involved in. If it was not for the license plate reader hitting off into the real-time crime center and then saying they're right there on a video, I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and we were able to make that arrest that actually affected a couple more arrests and a recovery of firearm later on by other officers from this arrest. I want the technology. I think the technology, as we have less officers throughout the United States, we have to leverage that technology to keep our community safe. And then when we get back up to budgeted strength, we can even do even more. But we got to be at the community meetings. I want to keep the technology, and if there's something new out there that somebody else is using, you will be sure to know when I have to do that technology briefing. If it's anything new, I have to talk about it first to get public comment before we can bring anything else new in. What we have now, the Board of Alders have approved everything we have already. If it's something new, then I have to represent, but everything existing, very happy we worked it out with them, and everybody was satisfied how we came to that recommendation and also agreement, and I want to keep that technology. ShotSpotter, you do not want to lose ShotSpotter. That saves lives. It saves lives on individuals, first aid, and also gets us to an area where we can catch some of the perpetrators or get evidence as quickly as possible. So that's something I already talked about. We expanded already down to Dutchtown, and it's something that if I have an opportunity, I would love to expand that. So when you ask for technology, I want to leverage existing technology a little more before looking for that shiny object. And we get better and better using it and picking up those shell casings. If I could just leave you with one thing, we had a homicide that happened a couple of months ago, and we didn't really have any good leads. But when the shell casings came back, that our officers, 10 days before, our officers went to a shots fired incident where you saw something, there was no one hit, it wasn't a non-fatal, it wasn't a homicide, but our officers picked up those shell casings. That was 10 days before the homicide. We were able to go back, re-canvass for a video, and our detectives were able to identify the individual with the firearm, who happened to be our murderer. And they were able to make the case on top of everything else and witnesses, but it led us in the right direction. Those are the things that keep our city safe. Those are the things that we're going to do, at the same time working together on all these other issues. And I think the city is going to get safer because every arrest that our police officers are making this year and the last part of last year, the warrant office is open and everybody's being held accountable to the crimes that they commit. And that's a game changer to make sure that we can get them the help they need if they have addiction or mental health issues. Then we get them help in the system. But at the same time, they're held accountable that they're not right back on the street to reoffend. We got to work on that, and it can be compassionate. And if you leave the last thing, you save lives now, that I know a lot of you were at. That's another thing where you talk about social services and focused deterrence on individuals, the highest propensity with violence. We work on those individuals, the whole city gets safer, and we want to work on them to get them the help. But at the same time, if they're going to continue violence in our community, we're going to make sure that they don't do that anymore, and
So-
we'll be incarcerated.